through this.
Okay, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. I guess we're all a bit excited about the eNaira platform, recently just launched by the president, and it's there in central bank. You know, this eNaira thing, we've got to see how it works. First of all, let me introduce Mukhtar, Muhammed, our friend, stockbroker and financial analyst, is in the studio. As always, Mukhtar, thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure.
So I was just chatting with Mukhtar before coming on the program, and I was recalling the story of the personal music device. A lot of you will remember the iPod. I guess in phones and Netflix and iTunes and all of those have probably overtaken it by now. But you remember the iPod, and the story was told us of its invention, that no research and development or any such research threw up the fact that it was needed. In fact, R&D turned it down, said it wasn't needed at all. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't be successful. As you know, the iPod went on to be successful. Moral of that little story there is that sometimes people come up with products we didn't even know that we needed. So I was asking Mukhtar, is eNaira as a CBDC, central bank digital currency, is it like that? And
it's needed.
You had said, no, it is needed. In this case, it is needed.
It's needed. It's definitely needed. It's the way to go. It's what we call the digital economy. Other countries of the world, and South Korea has been there even before we come. Switzerland also have been there, even using digital currency. So it's there. It's just a stopgap measure to make sure that some of the part of the world that those use those currencies, digital currency, is just a stopgap measure to make sure there's slimness in terms of trade within themselves, especially when it comes to reducing the cost of doing business.
Well, it's good you say that, because the next thing, we're really going to take this slow. This not being Tolu Lokwe Ogunjobi's program. That one is a full-fledged business program, and when you go there, between him and his guests, they all are very knowledgeable about all the arcane terminology that goes on in there. So, first of all, a digital currency. How is this different from the ATM card everybody has in their wallet, in their pocket?
Like I told somebody today, when they asked me, so what's the difference between the eNaira and my bank account?
Okay.
I said the difference is one is operated by the bank, one is operated by
central bank.
Central bank.
But even that is operated by the bank is supervised by central bank.
It's supervised by central bank. So even the e-wallet is still going to supervise. You see, the thing about it is that the eNaira platform, which you have to access it with through a virtual e-wallet, you have to still come through your bank, because the central bank is not a conventional bank itself. So you have to go through the conventional bank. You have to do your transaction from your bank. You move it to your e-wallet account. So if you have issues even within your the transaction between your bank and your e-wallet, probably still have to go back to the bank.
It's good you point that out, because as early after its launch as yesterday, like many other people who bank with Nigerian banks, my bank has a little app. So you can do just about everything, see everything on that app. And I noticed the appearance in my bank's app of a new link, saying, do you want to link your bank account to do you want to link e-wallet to your bank account? Just for the heck of it, just for curiosity. So I clicked on the link, and then I was told there that just by the way, you have to go register with CBN at their portal and get whatever the reference is that they give you, and that is what you will use to now link your bank account to your the e-wallet to your bank account. So I've been reading about it, and there's so many benefits, as we are told, by it. Let's look at one of them, and we not necessarily in any particular order. One of them was that this instrument, this device, this new system is going to, as it were, link gaps in the banking grid across the land between those. Banks have always been complaining that there are too many unbanked. This is supposed to be able to, in some way, you smile there, you tell me why. This is supposed to be in some way able to link those gaps in the sort of banking grid.
Well, before I come to that question, I need to throw a sort of caution to Nigerians, because, you know, the president made mention yesterday that that platform also could be a platform where they'll use it to do social intervention.
Yes.
And up to this morning, people are beginning to, the fraud guys are already at it, sending people messages to click on to register for the social media. So people should be very careful within seconds. So don't link up you can like Okuyorin said, you can only link up your eNaira platform. When you download, you have to link it up with your bank account. Let nobody tell you that you have to do a social intervention. That point has not even been created yet by the federal government. It's just the president was talking about the benefit of being part of the potentials of the system. So please, let's be very careful about that. Now, reaching out to the unbankable Nigerian, you know why I laugh is because it's technology that you need. It's not just going to happen like that. Then you need technology. You need to have a good phone. Like somebody reminded me. Somebody reminded me today as I was coming and we were talking. He said, how do you tell the man in the village that he has to download an app if he doesn't have a phone? What type of phone does he have? Does he have to go and check buy a big phone? Then I said, but again, you can use the number. He's not told me, but again, you can use the normal transaction code number using your phone. And I said, CBN have not provided that yet. And again, if they do provide it, it comes with a cost. Okay. It comes with a cost, because when you're looking at the e-wallet, the only attraction that CBN is now using to attract people to that website now is that for the next 90 days, all transaction on the e-wallet platform is going to be free from charges. The charges still going to be the normal banking charges that you normally have when you do transaction within your banks. But
the impression I got reading it, because they were really hammering on the point that it enables you to do transactions much more easily and much more affordably. So I didn't want to say cheaply.
The CBN governor said it yesterday, unless I'm getting it wrong. He said it's the fee is the same like every other fee that we do pay. So he said we're going to pay, if you do a transaction up to like above 5,000, you don't pay. I mean, below 5,000, you don't pay the normal 10 naira. If you do above that, you pay the 10 naira. What I'm saying is that you need to have a good phone. The CBN said something. It said it was going to come. You're going to use it without the internet. That was the first clause where the CBN governor said that they would make it to big financial inclusion so that the rural people can use it. Because you can use it without the internet. But I have to ask the question, you cannot do a transfer from your bank account to the e-wallet without internet, because the bank has not created that platform whereby you can do transactions. You have to use the code, and when you use those codes to do those transactions, now we've not created, unless the bank are going to create a code for you to go to e-wallet.
Okay, because I was going to say it's early days yet. It's only just been launched, and CBN is really banking on this, so to speak.
They've not been a lot of enlightenment on Nigerians on what the e-naira potentials of the e-naira, because the woman in the street. Because if you look at what the CBN governor was saying, for me, the beauty of it was the fact that he looked at the place. They say the merchant wallet. Which for me is the main thing, and I say the beauty of it, because remember we keep complaining about the merchants not being able to meet up with demands in terms of getting their buying of the goods and services, especially when he wants to deal with FX. Now, if they create that merchant platform, I believe that could be a platform to address some of those customers that were being addressed by the Bureau de Change that are no more there, especially the legitimate customers.
That's an important point you bring up, because we'll extend it further, because you know, I told you on my app, my banking app, I had clicked it just to see what would happen, and the first thing I saw there was individual or merchant. So, you know, it seems to me that what you were talking about is going to come on. But let me bring in Kesandu. Good morning, Mr. Kesandu.
Uncle Yori, good morning.
Thank you for coming.
Good morning to your guests too.
Yes.
You see, we appreciate the federal government. Whatever innovation that can actually help us is fine. But sir, the question is, at this material time, on a scale of preference, do we actually need this now? How many market women, the normal Nigerians who we are doing everything we're doing, how many of them do have access to even good phones and even network to do this business we're talking about, to indulge in eNaira?
Okay.
You understand? I think the CBN can actually go back home to see how we can alleviate the sufferings of these people. Let us improve the economy first.
I hear you.
We can come to some of these points.
I hear you.
That is my point, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in to contribute it. But I would just gingerly tender that we can't wait when it comes to matters of development.
No,
we have to start, and everybody will catch up, as it were, but we can't wait. The same thing happened with ATM cards. Yes. Not everybody till today.
Some people don't have ATM.
Some people refuse to.
Even some elites.
Yes.
Even transferring of some money within their phone. Some elite doesn't still use it, even within their banking platform. Now, see, what he's saying is, because that's what I'm talking about, education. If you go to some merchants, the woman that sell things, maybe they're forced to use ATM, because these days most of us want to use ATM. Some of them don't want to use ATM. Even sometimes you go to some mega filling station, they begin to show you an ATM machine. Instead of you using your ATM card, they begin to show an ATM machine to go and withdraw money and then pay them cash. But now, what will happen, because what they are doing, that they say there's a fee they normally pay when it comes to using the POS machine.
Yes.
With this e-wallet, you eliminate that fee, because if I have an e-wallet, you have an e-wallet, then we can do a seamless transaction. We don't have to pay any fee for it.
Even extending that idea a bit, we'll come to talk about it. I was understand that even Nigerians in diaspora, they'll have a lot less hassle.
I have a little bit. That could work. That will work.
Okay.
But you need to, before that work, you need to address the exchange rate volatility.
Okay, I'm going to come. We'll come back and look at that. Good morning, Madam Ada in Jos.
Yes, good morning, Sayori. Good morning to your guests there.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, I've looked at this, the e-wallet and the e-naira. It's a welcome development, but then I know they said it's confidential. It's going to be inclusive, kind of financial inclusion, and then accommodate those that are unbankable. That is not, but it's not easy to invest on the platform as the news I'm following. Then is it not a continuation of the cashless policy? That's what I want to know from the guest. Then again, fraud. Fraud is very important too. So long as there is no enabling environment for an outraged youth to survive, the rate of employment will give room for so many youths to be tempted to go, to take to crime. We will be living in a fool's paradise to be playing Angel Gabriel. So the government itself should make sure they start improving on this unemployment thing and the hunger in the land.
Okay.
So much as far as I'm concerned, so much infrastructure is more important than this eNaira or whatever you're calling it. God bless you. Let's not give up on this country.
Thank you, Madam Ada. Also, because she also touched on it, and you had earlier, I think there was an indication in there that all this matter about interventions of government, palliatives, and all of that, now it could be seamless. Never mind all that setting up, sending to one ministry doing this, that, and the other. Now government knows, because of the data that is existing, who you are, whether you qualify or not, and can just go in there. All of this is going to be less expensive.
It's going to be less expensive. And again, like he said about the tax policy, you see, we keep saying that you need to attract the informal sector, which the president brought out. He said, you need to attract the informal sector then so that they can be a formal sector. But to attract them to be a formal sector so that they can be paying this tax, you need also to give them something. You have to give them something back. And so if the government is giving them the e-wallet platform now as a means of trade that will reduce their costs, and then you are not telling them, look, I've been able to provide this for you, then you have to pay tax based on this, because then that's the better way to widen the tax bracket, because you are using tax as an incentive to grow your economy. You are putting something on and not widening the tax bracket by taxing the taxable again, by adding more burden to those that are already paying tax. So I think it's a good innovation. In terms of security, like he's saying, there's a lot of security in the platform. The government have said that. It's like every other financial platform. In short, you can say it's seamless to fraudulent activities, but then they put the platform, they have the uniqueness of that e-wallet transaction, and so it's not something that CBN did not look into.
Yeah,
they looked into the security part of it, and I think they've done a good job there, because they say you can also know the back user, because that's the difference between that's what the CBNs of all the whole countries all over the world are trying to address.
Indeed,
they are trying to address.
That's why they're trying to address
the cryptocurrency. So they have now improved upon it by putting that you know who you are transacting with. Yes. So if you have any issues in terms of those transactions, you can still get back to them. But the only challenge is that even to get back to them in terms of when you have issues with those transactions, you still have to go to your normal conventional bank.
Yeah.
Because the CBN is not a conventional bank that can address that. It's all up to your bank to address it with the CBN. Now, one thing I'm so happy about is that the CBN gave a rule to Merge Bank that you must be able to address every issue that comes with payment within 24 hours. I want to see how they implement that in the e-wallet.
Yes, it will be interesting. And by the way, the CBN has harped on the point that this Nigeria event, this thing, is the first in Africa.
Well, when it comes to being first, it doesn't make it the best.
No,
we always say we are the largest economy in Africa.
There you go.
It should not be anything of making noise that we are the first. If we are the largest economy, where should start it?
Oh dear. Okay, Mr. Mark in Anthony. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, it's a very interesting topic, right?
Sure. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this topic is a very great one, and like your speaker is saying there,
yes.
I mean,
Mukhtar
for
Muhammed.
you to be the first, there's a whole lot of, Mr. Muhammed, there's a whole lot of positives for you to be the first. And in addition to that, it comes with a lot of benefits, right? But one of the things that, which is, I mean, if you've been in the financial industry in Nigeria, one of the challenges we have is that we are not even able to optimize the benefit of some of these. So if you look at today in Nigeria, the CBN policy on cashless, the cashless policy, you find out that they will tell you if you go to the bank, right, and you deposit cash, there's been some level of penalties. But the frustration that Nigerians face every day on the street is that you go to a filling station, they tell you we don't have POS. You go to a store of a man who makes 1 million, 2 million every day, even 10 million, it tells you that I don't have POS. The question is that where is the enforcement? And so you find out that even when these things are well intended, you find out that you really cannot get the optimal benefit that you're supposed to derive. Then when you come to the eNaira, you find out that right now, there's some benefit that if somebody wants to transfer funds abroad, but nobody's telling us now that, okay, if I want to, some of the challenges we have now, you have a restriction of $100 in terms of exchange rate, right? We will still continue to have the challenge of that restriction, one. We will also continue to have the challenge of even the general acceptability, which is one of the benefits you have to deal with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, because people, those are now having what we call global acceptability. So we still have the same challenge that we have with the eNaira. But at the end of the day, I would say I support it because, I mean, you can always optimize the benefit, but CBN also should be intentional. There should be intentionality to continue to research, explore on the options that will be available and how we can optimize. But they should also look at the cashless policy, because down there in the street, it's very frustrating where you have a card, somebody says you must give him cash. What is the enforcement?
Yes.
I can't see. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mark. And also, the cards are not exact. The card system, the ATM cards, not exactly perfect. You sometimes make transactions and it doesn't go through. I had one such incident, but I had to now go to the physical, back to the tally number days of going to the bank, complaining, being given a form, fill it out. They say that in a couple of days we'll see what we can do towards reversing it. They said the network systems were down momentarily, and that explains that. So so Mark is also bringing up those other issues. So it's not as if there's not a lot of work ahead of us, but CBN has said that it's been long at this.
2017 they started looking into it, researching it, and no doubt it will get better. But the important point that I think, well, not an important point that is out there is that you're going to have to sign up to it. Yeah, you have to sign up for it. Like you were saying about penalties, there are penalties, but sometimes Nigerians prefer to pay those penalties, get the cash, and pay those penalties, because the CBN already put penalties. They enforced it when it comes to when you want to pay those cashes in those cash points in the bank enforce it. So definitely there are penalties, but sometimes Nigerians just feel, look, what's the penalty? I'd rather pay for that penalty than also looking at the cost in terms of using the POS machine.
When you talk about penalties, how did you mean, to be, so that I can...
So if you like as an individual, you're not supposed to deposit cash more than, I think, is it 500,000 or 1 million.
Oh, okay.
Anything outside of that, you have to you pay penalties.
Okay.
For each, I think, for every 1,000 naira, you pay a penalty.
Okay.
On that. Those are part of the way that the CBN was trying to make sure that people see the penalty. But sometimes Nigerians will, like if you run a business, I think you can deposit cash of 5 million. Anything outside of that 5 million, you're going to pay penalties. So, so those penalties are there. The enforcement is there. You will know yet. So I want to let him know that their enforcement, the banks will enforce it. The enforcement. It's not that those penalties are not there. But sometimes it's what the value point I see there he was bringing out is acceptability. Now, we are going to that point because all banks in the world are looking towards making their own digital platform. So we'll get to that acceptability side, whereby just like your Naira is accepted as a medium of exchange through the global, like he was saying, like if you want to use your ATM card, you will come to that point whereby you see that having a digital card will come to play as the things evolve, whereby you go to other countries, you just use your own digital card and play with your own digital card.
As you know, Mukhtar, there was a time when we were able to use our Naira ATM cards, even for dollar transactions.
It will come to that point again.
Little things.
Yes,
and then suddenly the government closed that door.
No, they did that door because of the availability of that FX. Because you remember that they now say you can do that, but you are restricted to only $100. I think
even right now you are restricted to $0. As we are now.
So you are restricted because that has to do with the demand and supply. You know the FX challenges that we have.
Okay, Mazi Okorafo, thank you for holding on, sir. Go ahead now, please.
Good morning, sir. Good morning again. It's a welcome development that we have joined the digital e-banking and digital e-naira. Now the question is, if you look at the African Continental Trade Agreement, yes, it's a welcome. At least we are part and parcel of the system. But the question now is, you see, when banks come, banks want to, if any bank that comes, they will come now and meet people to do what? To come and open accounts. There is need too for banks to send their marketers to go and do what? Educate Nigerians on the benefits of this e-naira. What we need is education, because sometimes when you go to, let me give you an example. You will go now to buy something. That was what happened some few weeks ago, some months ago. After buying something, the owner of the shop said, he's not going to give us the items till he receives the alert. You see the question mark. So we see that the alert is because of the network, and we needed this in urgently. These are the things we have to look into the e-naira. The government or the central bank authority should do what? Do the needful.
All right.
But the question is, we are moving digitally. That is good. It's making sense to plot and then. But the question is the side effects or disadvantages. Nigerian bankers, our men in the studio should educate Nigerians. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you, Mazi Okorafo. Now, among other things, there are a number of issues. When we were away, you were making one point, which is that enlightenment. Somebody had called in, I think it was Kesandu, we need the banks to go out there and enlighten people. And you had a reservation in that regard.
It's not the product, the e-naira or the e-wallet is not a product of the bank. It's a product of the CBN. So the enlightenment will come from the CBN. Like I tell people, the bank have their own product. They still have their normal product. They still have the banking platform that you can use to do all your transactions.
Okay.
Those banking platforms are still there.
And they belong to the bank.
They belong to the bank. And the transaction cost between those banking platforms and the e-wallet is the same.
Yeah.
So they will not demarket their own product. They will still be selling their own product because so
it makes sense.
So you cannot tell them to be marketing CBN product. Remember that this app also is a vendor that is managing their app for CBN. It's not the CBN itself as an entity that's managing it. So it's the urge on the CBN and the vendor to market the app to attract more Nigerians. And they started that with the 90 days free from transaction costs or anything. So for me, it's all about the CBN doing the enlightenment. 95% of Nigerians does not know what the e-wallet is all about or the e-currency is about. So it's in the place of the CBN to keep on enlightening Nigerians the benefit of it.
Let me bring in Baba Amira, I believe in Kaduna. Good morning, sir. I think I lost Baba Amira there. Okay, the other point is that first of all, transparency. This is very, very strong on transparency. CBN was talking about being able to see the entire chain, not just who receives, where it was coming from, and all of that and all of that.
To address what they call illicit flow of funds,
yes,
terrorist fund, and other vices, money laundering.
So it's like, even though we know the Yahoo boys, so-called, will still try, but there are very few places to hide in this system.
No, there are very few places to hide in this system. It's slimless, security-wise, and it's slimless. And again, like I said, the back. You can the difference between crypto is that if I'm going to transfer to Uncle Yorin, and mistakenly I transfer to somebody else, retrieving it is a problem. But in this case, you can easily retrieve your back. You make the complaints, just like the normal what you have in the bank if you have made mistake in transaction. Okay, so the calls are coming thick and fast because it's money. And you know, if it is money, every Nigerian is hearing this particular one. Good morning, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Yori. Good morning, Muhammed.
Good morning, Reverend.
Muhammed, I would like you to educate me on this e-wallet. I don't understand it, honestly, as much.
Reverend, are you just joining? Reverend?
Yeah,
after
I've been listening.
You've been listening from the beginning. The president explained it yesterday. There's the CBN portal that you can go there and find out, sir. And Mukhtar Muhammed has been doing his own bit for explaining from the beginning of the program, sir.
Yes, what I'm trying to say is this. No matter how the lecturer is going on, we have to practicalize it. What is economic benefit? How is it going to improve my business of my money?
Okay.
Do I ask this question because there's many million Nigerians who don't also understand what is e-wallet. Understand? We must make them to know. Like we said now, that it is CBN business. That commercial bank has also their platform. That they will not demarcate their own platform to talk about CBN platform, which is e-wallet. Which means it's a market-driving business. So how do you understand better? How do you benefit an ordinary man using his money? And let me say this. No matter what we say, there's no time that we introduce a product in Nigeria now that is not timely. Nigeria is old enough to have the best transaction in the world. Somebody said, why now? It must be now. Why we voted APC to power is to change narrative, is to change things, make things better. And they're trying. But the security issue in Nigeria are making everything nonsense. In transportation, in industry, in economy, honestly, this government is trying. But the insecurity is making every effort they're making, nonsense. Remember this year when we talk about to give this government, to tell them what to do and how, the roadmap. I said that 3 things we must do. 1 is security, 2 is security, 3 is security. When we get it right, e-wallet, e-this, we run on it. But honestly, I don't understand it well. But I will do as time goes on.
All right. Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. And I don't think you're alone because this is, even though to us it's like a flash out of the blue, CBN has been working on this from the past, since 2017. Mukhtar was saying they've been researching it. And there's an there's an aspect for what? NGOs, NGOs, yes. Religious houses, churches, and all of that.
I said it's a product, so you need to do that to attract customers. So what it means, like he was talking about, Reverend Dogman was talking about, how does it help me as a business person? How does it's more or less like when you have the same bank account. The transaction
is
cost
a lot easier and lower transaction costs.
That is the same thing that will happen with the e-wallet in simple terms.
Because everybody, theoretically speaking, or maybe theoretically was not the word, but effectively, it is like everybody is a member of a virtual space.
So what you do is that if I have an e-wallet, you remember that it's linked to my bank account, you still have to go through the process of using your BVN, your NIN, even is included in it. So it still has those, but what it's going to do for you is that when you have money in that wallet, I have money in that wallet, we are doing business together, it's easier for me to transfer from my wallet to your wallet seamlessly, and the cost it will be low. So it's going to help in terms of business. That's why I'm saying that instead of you have the POS whereby the traders are complaining, like the other caller was talking about, people going to you say, no, I don't have POS, can you do a transfer to me? Then you have to wait till the alert comes before you leave. This one is virtual, it's going to be cheaper.
Effectively, the middleman in all of these operations until now is cut out.
Yes, it's cut out.
Effectively, and when you cut out a middleman, there's a savings in cost.
There's savings in cost, and we're not looking at the savings in cost nationally or to the CBN, because what it means is that the cost of production of naira also will come down, because you are using a digital space to produce this currency now. We're not looking at that cost also. We need to look at that cost also. That could also help us in reducing our expenditure, which we have been complaining about. Because that means the cost of production when you do it in the digital space is better than when you do it it's cheaper than when you do it in the physical space. So
okay.
they decide, then again, it will also help them monitor inflation, because they will be able to know exact number in terms of currency in circulation using this digital platform. So it has its benefit. And like the president saying, social intervention. But before I came in here, I saw that the CBN was the government is saying it might even say empower ministries and parastatals to do all their payment through the e-wallet platform. And that again is another thing that will address what we've been fighting towards since, corruption. You really, like you said it in the social intervention scheme, you don't need a middleman. I put my name, I put my bank detail, you send it directly to my e-wallet account. And also indirectly again, they are going to force more people, because if you are going to be a contractor, you may be asked to, your payment will only be done through your e-wallet, because that is not like the official government medium of payment. Okay.
Now, let me just tell you that immediately after the program, and perhaps even during the program, if it happens, we'll let you know. Council Conference, the 2021 National Women's Conference of the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Council, will be, there'll be a live broadcast which we shall be carrying, as I said, after this program. But if it happens before, I'll let you know. And Chidi Inkafanchan, good morning, sir, and thank you very much for holding on. Go ahead now, please.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, the guests in the studio.
Mr. Muhammed.
Yes, while the CBN and other commercial banks will be doing the awareness concerning this very e-wallet kind of a thing,
eNaira,
I
yes.
want us to know if we are going to open another account in order to be linked to this very program,
okay,
or do we do it with the existing bank accounts?
Okay, sir. All right.
Being used now.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in. You must have missed it. At the top of the program, I had said that on my bank, everybody's bank in Nigeria, they have an app. Now, I saw appearing on my bank's app a new link saying, would you like to link your what is it?
E-wallet.
Yes. Would you like to link e-wallet to your account? And when I clicked yes, go ahead, let me see what is going to happen. The next link, the next advisory I saw was that, well, you're going to have to go to the central bank portal and website, register that information you get from there, bring it here, and then link to your banking account. Yeah. So really, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that answered it. And some people will say, okay, if I have 3 bank accounts, do I have to open different e-wallet for each of the bank accounts? No, you just need one e-wallet. You can do those transactions because of your BVN.
Yes, so your BVN, and also you said about transparency, your national identity,
ID card number, NIN.
Also, all of this is linked. So with the NIN, your BVN, I can see where the fraudsters are going to have a hard time,
definitely,
because transparency is very, very strong.
Very strong there.
Now, the other point, Mukhtar, is that the CBN and CBNs around the world are very, very concerned with cryptocurrency. Not less so Nigeria. This is not something that has a trading potential like cryptocurrency, is it?
No, you see,
that is the currency itself.
No, it doesn't have it, because we still talked about acceptability. Acceptability is still the challenge here. By the time we have most CBNs all around the world having to go to these digital platforms, then we could begin to talk about those tradings using your currency. Now, mark you that up to date, in terms of currency, until crypto came in, was always between the forex market. You have to do it between the naira, the dollar, the Chinese yuan, the euro, and everything.
So the CBNs found themselves being cut out, which they didn't like.
So now with this, it might be able to address that global challenges that the crypto is bringing global acceptability that the crypto is doing. So the CBNs are coming because they say, look, when you look at any currency, it must be tied to fundamentals.
Yeah.
In economic terms, everything has to be tied to fundamental and an asset space.
That's
but when it comes to crypto, it seems to not having any fundamental, neither having any asset base within it to grow. If it's no more existing, you could see this physical structure and say, this used to belong to crypto, this is what...
There is no such
there's
thing.
no such thing. But when you talk to the CBN now, what the CBN globally will do in the long run is to make sure they begin to bridge those gaps in terms of digital currency. And that is where it's going to help in terms of the exchange rate volatility that we encounter in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much. Olamilekon in Dublin. Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning to you, sir.
Thank you.
And good morning to your guests there.
Yes.
I will start from the charges that the central bank put on that app that they just put out there. They just want to use it to save Nigerians from the banks. The banks are not helping Nigerians of lending them money. So if you are not a capital provider, you are just ordinary worker in Nigeria, you cannot get anything from the banks. So if central banks themselves be able to have that kind of hub, it will be helpful for the ordinary Nigerian. There's something called NFC. It's like a code. It's going to be helping ordinary Nigerians. If Yalata, Ilepo, or the Okada man, they will be able to use that. They will take it out and put it by their food market. And anybody that comes there, if you want to pay them 2 naira, 1 naira, you can just scan it, and then they will get this money into their wallets. They don't need anything. They just need to connect it with their bank for now.
Yeah.
Later on in the year, they will take it away from the bank. They will take it away from, because bank cannot help it. Bank are too lazy. They are just making money.
Okay. Well,
they are not helping Nigerians at all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lalekon, for calling in from Dublin with that particular aspect. In fact, you reminded me of it. Let me bring it up into the studio now. There was also talk about a greater ease of access to funds as a result of this new financial instrument.
When it comes to access to funds, we need to know that it's not, the duty of the CBN is not to be giving loan to individuals. It's still blind line the commercial bank.
Yes.
There's no how, like he's saying, that at the end of the day, CBN is going to cut off the banking sector. There's no how they will be able to do that, because your main account has to still come from the bank. Because the bank is the conventional way. What CBN is doing, if you look at it, because they are now calling it a digital currency, that's why banks are in support of it. Most economists like us are looking at it, okay, this is the way to go, because they call it digital currency. If it is called a digital product, it's not supposed to come from the CBN, it's supposed to come from the bank. Some economists will tell you that normally when we have this digital currency is to have an account. When you have an account in the bank, you could say them, okay, can you put some of this my account in my digital currency? I want to have a digital currency. I want so amount of money in digital currency. I still have so amount in the normal
my regular
account.
Yes.
It's not, doesn't have to be that
like hard naira account.
Yes, you don't need to look. I have to transfer. I have to move. I have to. These things are things that should be done seamless. In telling the bank create those apps for such things, because the CBN are giving an order that the two medium of exchange in Nigeria now is the physical and the digital.
Let's look at the theoretical examples so that we can help clarify it. Let's say I have 1 million naira in my account, and sorting out all the kinks, I now decide to transfer this into my CBD, into central bank digital currency. Could I still operate as yesterday before making any such transfer? Well, how would that work? So now, okay, I just leave a nominal amount. Let me just leave 10,000 naira in my hard naira account. Haven't transferred the bulk of my funds to this particular to my e-wallet. Could I now be operating from my e-wallet and carrying on my life?
Yes, you can operate from your e-wallet, definitely. You can even move money, like the Simon is saying that, you can move money to your e-wallet. You can also move money from your e-wallet back to your normal account. There's the room for that. There's a room for that. But like he is saying about reduction in transactional costs, it's the same in terms of transactional costs. There's no reduction. CBN have said it. And again, they still cap it more like the normal ATM. If you don't have a BVM, you can operate it, but you cannot make withdraw in a week more than 20,000. Okay. They pay some at 130.
Otherwise, those penalties you're speaking about begin to come out. Sisi in Onitsha. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Mukhtar.
Yes.
Please, Uncle, regarding this topic, I have about 5 concerns I needed your guest to address.
Sure.
First of all, number one is on the benefit the commercial banks stand to gain in order to foster their advertising and acceptability of these products by the CBN. Like the guest acknowledged, the banks have their platforms, mobile apps, and all this. I don't see any difference, both in charges and everything, that makes this platform different from what the commercial banks have to offer or is offering to their customers. And again, if everything the customer does or we do on this platform has to be through the banks, their original bank, they call the associated financial institutions. So if that is the case, what do they stand to benefit that will make them market like on the mail and the internet? Banks are advertising, the e-platform is there now. Now, I am trying to ask, is the central bank by this product, even though they have denied it severally, that they are not competitors? They are not a kind of competition to commercial banks on this. But when you look at the charges and everything, it's something the banks do. So what will make it different for me to now, offer this product when I'll still be charged the same thing my bank will charge me, despite other benefits?
Okay.
And again,
okay, Sisi, let's look at that. Thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call. Let's look at that query that you have, because this is going to become clearer as we go along.
No. It's a win-win. It's a win-win for the banks. It's just like the bank having issues. Remember, the bank having issues with the commercial, with the telecommunication companies about terms of charges. Who gets this, who gets it, because you are using my platform. So remember, like I said, it's a vendor. It's a vendor that's on the backside of this thing. So definitely it's a win-win, because the banks are not going to, you're not going to use the bank platform to transfer money to the e-wallet for free. There will be a sharing formula, which I think the CBN will work on. It could be for every 10 naira, CBN takes, the CBN take 5 naira or 6 naira. They will definitely be.
Okay, so and you can't put money directly into your digital wallet.
You can't put money directly into
it has to come from your banking account.
It has to come from your banking account. And again, remember that the central bank is not a commercial bank that you can just go and say, look, I have cash so transfer this cash to my digital account for me. You have to still pass through the normal conventional bank. It's just a app. That's what I'm still saying, that, like he said, it still looks like we're having same product trying to compete with each other. But the CBN is saying that, look, we are not in competition with most of these banks. And I think it's also good for us to understand that the CBN is not in competition with them. Okay, I'm
afraid we have to go. As I alerted Mukhtar, thank you very, very much, Mukhtar Muhammed. As I alerted the Office of the First Lady of Lagos State, they are organizing Cows Flow, and the broadcast has started. But that's our program today. See you tomorrow, God willing, with a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.